All right, thank you so much for that. Is Nadia and the band. I want to have our conversation today. Wednesday we try to focus on youth and politics, and we have an able panel of young people here. And of course, as it goes, we'll start with the ladies to introduce themselves, and the gentlemen as both the extremes, the left and the right. So I'll start with you.
Which camera am I using?
Hata ile tu ni sawa.
My name is Nicole Mokami. I'm a third year student at University of Nairobi. I'm taking a major in conflict and peace studies and also another major in sociology. Yes.
All right.
I'm Marion Wambui, a lawyer from the University of Nairobi.
Let's start.
I'm Mirimo Nyongesa, a student leader, the incoming SONU Secretary General of the University of Nairobi.
Yes, I'm Valentino Nokitare. I'm a student leader at the University of Nairobi, and I'm an international relations expert. Yeah.
All right, so I guess the first question would be, and you've definitely been seeing what's been going on. The campaign period is, as you know, is really kicked off, and everybody's out there doing their rallies, missing debates, etc. And so I guess the first question would be, as a young person, do you feel like, you know, whatever they're saying out there is representative of what the youth really want? What's that with you?
I think there is a lot of the youth right now are just following. They are following. We are followers right now, and the leadership that is there right now has taught us to be followers, not leaders. So right now it's more of a circus. Right now it's just a circus. What they say in action, or what they say and in action, two different things. Yeah, that's my opinion.
All right.
Yeah, true.
What these guys are telling us, it's everything that they have as a plan to do for the youth. It's actually all of it. I can say all of it is very, very okay. It's just that these guys, these politicians, what they do is that they mostly talk about these things, but when it comes to actually implementing these things, they don't really do a good work. So the plans that they have for the youth are okay, but when it comes to implementing what they're saying that they'll do for us, they don't do them.
All right, so Valentino, in your view as well, do you think that so far both the government and the opposition have done enough for the youth?
I actually feel like both the government and the opposition are have really given us a raw deal, because you'll feel like the youth in this country are actually just being used as weapons of disposal. No, because you've got leaders who are quite selfish in their own, you know, in their own interest, and they actually don't care about what the youth in this country faces or goes through. Because actually right now as we speak, we're in 2017, we're still speaking about problems of unemployment, which is at its level worst, 65% unemployment. It simply means that the promise Jubilee gave, or the manifesto Jubilee had, of giving us over 5 million jobs is simply but just that, a fairy tale. You see. So up to right now, I still believe that Kenyans, we are quite short of the promises the government has had promised us as youth. Yeah. All
right, and you said you're an incoming leader. All right, and normally people say that it's at the university level where leaders are actually made, and the young people, some of your colleagues by there are also vying this time around. So do you also think that, you know, the leadership in this country is representative and reflective of the youth?
First, I would like to contest on on the question you asked about whether the opposition and Jubilee have done much to help the youth. I don't really think we have something in this world as the opposition government. I think you should be questioning whether Jubilee has done much to help the youth. And so in 2013, Jubilee came up with a solid plan. It was like a mantra of a change of guard, talking of a young government. The way they presented their manifesto identified the aspirations and the vision of the young Kenyans. But 4 years down the line, we still have youths roaming the streets. The 5 million that were unemployed at that particular time are still unemployed up to this time. They promised to create 1 million jobs per year. So I'm expecting the 5 million they found unemployed at that particular moment to be having maybe 1 million in the streets. They have to expand the economy so that it could absorb even those who are graduating fresh from the universities. We're having the universities and the technical institutions are churning out an average of 350,000 students per year. So what Jubilee has done is to reduce the jobs more than creating job opportunities. Check at the national security, the NSE listed corporations. Most of them have closed down and some have been registering declining profits. So tell me how they're going to create jobs when they're creating an environment that is not really sustainable to attract investors. Government parastatals have been closing down one by one. Mumia Sugar Company has closed down. They promised to revive those parastatals that had closed down, like the pan paper industry. What they've done is to sell it at a mediocre price, 950 million for a facility that could go for 16 billion. So I really don't understand whether inviting or importing hawkers from China is creating employment opportunities for the young Kenyans. And what I can say is that Kenya is really heading to the wrong direction and things could get dire. Economy cannot thrive under injustices. Europe has suffered as a result and Kenya is no better. Kenya is likely to suffer the same. Syria is reeling under the same consequences. Central African Republic is facing the blow. As a 13-year-old in the UK is already playing in the English Premier League, a 10-year-old in Spain is already being taught how to play in the Wimbledon, a 13-year-old in Kiambu, a 10-year-old in Turkana is being told how to wield a machete to join the Mungiki, how to hold a gun and join the cattle rustlers. Jubilee, that's a minus.
So, in your view, then, what do you think? Because I know you're listening to me very carefully.
Yeah, very, very. I would love to concur with some of what you have said. You know, the youth are very eager to participate, be it in the politics, in the economy, but the opportunities are rare. Now, this is what we call the tragedy of the common, where the opportunities are less than the people who need them. Frustration starts rising. When the youth do not have hope, you see, there have been so many graduates going out. You're in campus, you can see there are very many graduates leaving. You're on the way leaving. There are no opportunities even for those who are outside. What about you? This frustration is what makes, even when you watch rallies, there are so many youths who attend the rallies. When you watch a rally, the majority of those people there are the youth. Whether it's a Jubilee or NASA or whatever campaign, they are there listening, waiting to see how they can participate. And if they cannot participate by being given substantial opportunities, they have to create their own. They try to create their own, but instead of actually creating positive ones, due to the negativity that they are fed, they become frustrated and get it out in other ways. By divide and conquer, they are divided among themselves, be it on tribal lines, be it on... But what the youth ought to know is that the problems that face a youth in Turkana, in Korogosho, in Nyeri County, it's the same. So it does not make any sense if the people who are at the top, be it in opposition, because they have also been in government, or be it in government right now, they should not divide the youth, because the youth suffer the same problem. Being a certain tribe, being a certain a graduate or not, at this point there is no difference. Youth is youth. Youth is marginalized. Yeah.
All right. And do you think the youth are also, are they helping themselves, or are they their own worst enemy as well?
I think there's a gap. More needs to be done. Like this, we need to be mentored more so that we are able to actually go. I think because majority of the population in Kenya are the youth, right? So if we want to make a difference, we can actually make a difference. I think we usually feel, because if you look at our political constitution, majority of the leaders there are people who are old, for lack of a better word, guys who are over 40 and all this. I think there needs to be some, because we witnessed this guy called Modhiora, who, yeah, he was the only person who showed up for the running mates interview, and majority of all the other guys who had to show up were not even people who were his age. They were guys who were a bit older. I think there's a gap that we need to know as youth that we can actually do something. I think it's just a matter of breaking this tradition that's been there of old people leading, and I think we also need to be mentored more, and we need more people like Modhiora who are gonna come up and stand up for themselves, so we can do. And the youth are actually they are looking for opportunities. It's just that we are limited in terms of, maybe like she said, you can be a graduate and you have everything that you need, but then when it comes to getting a job, you don't get anything. Like, you can't tell me all the jobless youths out there are not doing anything to get a job, to earn a living. I think majority of those people are actually doing something, and it's just that our system, like the way our Kenyan system is integrated, it's like a systematic conflict that's just we need to break it, and if we do that, I think majority of the youth are going to be able to actually do something for the country. Yeah.
All right, and also just to you as well, before we take a short break and come back, the question is, like she said, she mentioned to somebody like Modhiora who showed up there, but again, is it also an interesting catch-22 for the youth? Because yes, the youthful leaders will stand up, but are they getting that support?
Okay, actually, I feel like what happened the other day with the presidential deputies snobbing the debate is simply but a reflection of the impunity culture we have in this country, where leaders think they're above the law and they are patriarchs of their own backgrounds. Where if you find a leader thinks that since I'm an old guard in this political sphere, so they feel like before a youth can rise or before a youth can take over these positions of leadership, they must go through them. And this is the problem which we have, because you find old guards in power who don't want to also give a chance to the young people who by the way understand their problems more than they do. Because as we speak, we've got a population of about 75% of the Kenyan population being youth. And as it is, if we have 75% of them being youth, it simply means that having a majority of them as leaders will simply mean that we can get problem-solving mechanisms from the people who are leading us, being the youth ourselves. So I think the problem comes in with these old guards and these old patriarchs who believe that they're the only ones who can make change in this country. People should start looking at a different dimension. Because if we decide to go with what my good friend has said, it feels like being unemployed in this country is a norm, and it's not supposed to be that way. Being unemployed is simply but a situation in which we find ourselves. It's simply but a negative situation in which we are, and we must strive. Any good country, like the good Mwalimu Nyerere said, that if a country kills its children, the country is lost. If a country kills its young ones, the future and the hope of the nation is lost. So as a country, we should learn also to give the young people a chance. We are not enemies of ourselves. Only what we lack is called the opportunity to express it, because we are very powerful if given the chance to do that. Yeah.
All right, so I want to take a short break. When we return, of course, yesterday some of the ballot papers finally checked in to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and so we are on towards the voting, about 19 days I think now to the polls. I want to talk about exercising that right to vote or otherwise. Stay with us.